Alright, this is part 2 of oil pressure valve assembly on the Honda Pilot 2-wheel drive. So we have the new oil pressure valve assembly. We had to purchase the whole assembly. We can't purchase the solenoid or the sensor separately. It sells as a full part, a whole assembly key, and it's not cheap. So putting everything back in place, it's a 10mm bolts that bolts back onto the cylinder head. Make sure you hand tighten the bolts on there first, always, before using your tool to torque it down. It's always good to hand tight every bolt and then going back, following with the tool and torquing it down. I forgot to mention, before putting the assembly back on, make sure you clean that area. That way it's a clean surface. There's no high level or uneven level. That way in the future, if there is a future oil leak in that area, you will be able to trace it and see. Because if you leave it all built up and dirty, you won't know if it's a new leak or an old leak. So it's always best around the area that you're working on to always clean. It's very important. And also it looks good. Here I am back with the tool to tighten it down. And it doesn't need to be torqued down too much. It just hand tight is it's good enough. And like I said, it's three 10mm bolts. That's all it takes. And it is a tight little area. Alright, from here we're going to put I'm not really sure what that's called, but it's on a little bracket, and it has two little nuts, 10mm, and we just need to put that back in place. And yeah, it's at the bottom of it, so you're just gonna have to do it by feel, because you won't be able to see what you're doing. But again, it's two 10mm nuts, and it doesn't need to be tight. Just hand tighten it, and you're fine. Just make sure it doesn't come loose. It's never easy when you have so many hoses and other device in your way. And you just gotta kind of play your way around everything to get to what you need to get to. Now we just connect everything back in place, plug in the solenoid, plug in the sensor, make sure you put it on right. Putting the hoses back in. Don't leave anything unplugged or unconnected, or it's going to throw a different type of code, and you don't want that. But always double check your work, of course. Get the needle nose pliers and clamp everything back in place. Alright, now we're going to put the intake hose back onto the air filter and the throttle body. Now I'm just letting y'all know this air hose is cracked on two ends, one at the small connection and one where the throttle body is, but I was able to push the hose far enough into the throttle body and shove that hose deep into the intake hose where there won't, it's not, there's no air leaks coming out of it pretty much. Pretty much is past where the cracks are. So this is one of the holes that has a crack, as you can see right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that metal hose further in and then clamp that onto far into or on top of that crack and far where the holes are, so there won't be any leaks from there. And then right there where the throttle body is, I'm going to try to push that hose in far into the throttle body, and of course there's not much length to it, but then clamping that where it's over the cracks of the hose. And yes, I did mention to the customers about replacing that because it's very important. So next I'm going to screw these 4 bolts on the air filtered box. Now I'm showing a close-up of everything. Here's the 4 bolts for the air filter box. There's the air intake hose, intake manifold, everything's assembled, everything looks good. And then here we start the engine. Engine runs good. If you have any comments or any questions or anything, please leave it down in the comment area. And then if you like the video, please like it and subscribe. Thank you.